We've got an interesting guest in studio. We're joined by Disaster Management Student Association at the University of Zimbabwe, a dynamic student-led organization dedicated to empowering young people and communities in disaster risk reduction. Now, it was founded in 2022 by Elain Chiroto and fellow students. Now, the association equips members with practical knowledge and leadership skills through workshops, outreach programs, cleanup campaigns, and research activities. Now, their mission is to foster proactive disaster risk reduction and strengthen youth participation in building a resilient Zimbabwe. Now, of course, I have Elain Chiroto, who is the chairperson, the current chairperson of Disaster Management Student Association. Elain, welcome to the show and good morning. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm fine. Well, it can only get better on a Monday morning.
Indeed.
Absolutely. Now, getting straight into the conversation, you are the current chairperson of Disaster Management Student Association. Now, I want to understand what motivated you guys to start to begin with, and what challenges did you face when starting this great initiative of yours?
All right, so we know that children and youth are the agents of change, and also at the University of Zimbabwe, we didn't have something that dealt with disaster management only, that focused on youth dealing with disaster management only. And also we had that theoretical in-class processes, and we wanted the youth, the students at the University of Zimbabwe to have more practical work, to do hand-driven community work, and to also do campaigns and awareness. But the challenges that we really faced were legitimacy, because we had other clubs, we had other associations there, of which the students trusted those that were already there than the new ones. So we had to motivate them. We had to make them see that no, this student association is there for them. It's there for them to do the practical work. And luckily enough, the Department of Peace and Security helped us achieve this goal. They helped us understand that the youth and the children are the co-founders of this association, and they can do more work.
Right. So quite some challenges that you did face, and I think that's not a walk in the park. It's not something that is easy, particularly to convince people that you are a new maybe initiative in town, whereas there are there were already players that were existing pretty much in the same market that you are now. I want to understand, what sort of impact do you hope to maybe exert on the community in Zimbabwe and even beyond?
Okay, so we want to change the mindset of the communities, we want to change the mindset of the government and all the other initiators, because we want to have a proactive measures. We want to stop those reactive measures whereby we start acting when the disasters already happened. We want the youth to push for funding when it comes to disaster resilience, and to also make sure that our communities are safer before the disaster happens. They have to be resilient, they have to be able to cope up with the disasters, and they also have to have the knowledge on how to deal with these disasters. We have challenges where our communities know what to do when a disaster comes, but they're not informed. They don't know that their knowledge is important. They don't know that it is them that have the power to do the change. And as the youth, we want to drive that.
Right. As the youths, you want to drive it, man. Now, to someone who's watching you,
yes,
who want to get a perfect understanding of what it is that you're referring to when you talk about disaster management, what constitutes disasters?
It's whereby the communities, they are vulnerable to these hazards. For example, if we have a flood, right, it might not be a disaster if the communities are not vulnerable, if they're not staying in places where they are at risk. So a disaster happens when the communities are not safe in the first place. They have to be somewhere where they are safe. But if they're living in flood-prone areas, if they're living in where there is drought and where they're likely to face the disaster, they need to face the hazard, then it becomes a disaster. So they should know that a hazard is not a disaster if only they do not work on it, then it is a disaster. But if they move, if the government, if the communities does some initiative to make sure that they're not vulnerable, to make sure that they're prepared, then it won't be a disaster. It will just be a hazard just passing through.
All right. Now, what are your plans in as far as expanding the association's reach and the impact, of course, in the future?
We want to make it a culture.
Right.
One thing that I always tell people is we should make it something cool to be proactive, something cool to help the community. Our plans with Disaster Management Association is for them to see that we are also policymakers as youth, as students. We can provide innovations, and we can also help with different dimensions when it comes to disaster risk management.
Right. And I would also want to know if there are any, something in the pipeline, any exciting projects that possibly are on the horizon. Are there any?
Oh, today is International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so there's this theme that says funding resilience and no disasters. Like I said, it's only a hazard unless the people are vulnerable to it or if there is a risk. So for International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction, we are holding campaigns, awareness programs, and we are also going to go to Wings of Grace Children's Home. We're going to offer donations and groceries so that they are also not vulnerable when it comes to disasters. And we're also going to do some projects with them and some fun times with them, because kids like it when you play with them and they understand more when you're like doing those activities and games.
Yeah, right. Now, what advice would you give to students who, of course, are interested in starting up something similar or even pursuing a career in disaster management? What advice would you give?
Start small. It doesn't have to be something big. It doesn't have to be something huge like we did. Just take one step at a time and make sure that everything that you're doing is planned and you're documenting everything and you're ready for it, because it's a complex industry. So you have to understand the technical stuff and also keep on pushing into your education. You have to understand these steps so that when you go in front of the stage, everyone knows what you're talking about and they have trust in you and you have the confidence. Right.
So start small. Start where you are and then look for ways and avenues that you can, grow and fly high. Now, talking about starting small, of course, now you guys are established, but you alluded to the fact that it was difficult when you started.
Yes.
Because, of course, there were players. Now, how many years has this been? How long has this organization been in existence?
3 years. Since
3 years.
3 years.
And you've been a part of those 3 years.
Yes, I started with it as the secretary, then vice chairperson, and now the chairperson.
Now the chairperson.
Yes.
So start small.
Start small.
And then you may end up as the chairperson.
Yeah,
My chairperson. Now, emphasis, of course, the importance of disaster risk reduction and its impact on the communities. What kind of emphasis would you put on that?
Like I said, proactive measures, it's very important for us to be ready for disasters, and it's very important for us to understand the vulnerabilities that comes with our populations so that we protect ourselves, because we want to save lives. We are the heroes. So we want to save the lives of these people.
Right. You want to save lives of these people, but like you alluded to, that a disaster is a disaster when it happens and we were not prepared for it.
Yes.
You understand? So it's difficult for me to actually foresee a disaster.
No, it's not.
Or is it?
You will see the disaster coming. For example, if you're living we had the Budiriro floods happening, it was in last year and this year, we had the floods, and they could see the disaster coming, but they stayed at the place where they are. So you can see the disaster happen.
Is it not a question that they stayed at the place where they are, because where else would they go?
They had somewhere to go, but it comes with the mindset. Like I said, people, if you tell someone that the disaster is happening, they'll know, yeah, it's happening, but where can I go? But then you tell them, there is evacuation areas in Budiriro Primary School, Budiriro Council Primary School, the Department of Civil Protection is there to help you. And then they say, but this is the land that I paid for. They say, no, reinvestments are coming, but the people just don't want to listen to you because their minds are saying, I'm not Ivara. But that's not the case.
Well, okay, now I get you. I get where you're coming from. It's the mindset problem. Now, how does this year's theme, funding resilience, not disasters, align with Zimbabwe's disaster risk management priorities and the broader context of the global south?
All right, so in Zimbabwe, we are now taking proactive measures. We have something called the Sendai framework. So the Sendai framework says that we should understand the disaster risk and we should do proactive measures, because if we pay $1 in resilience, we're saving $9 more when it comes to the disaster. So we want to have more better building codes. We want to manage the people that are working in waste management to make sure that there are no disasters, because like I said, it's only a hazard until it becomes a disaster. So if we fund resilience, if we fund to make sure that there are no disasters in the first place, then we're saving more lives. We're saving our infrastructure. If we had funded the Cyclone Idai in Chimanimani, if we had made sure that the people are somewhere where they are safer, if we had paid for better infrastructure, then there would have been less damages. So this year's theme is saying, no. We don't want to pay after the disaster happens. We want to make sure that we have resilient infrastructure, we have people that are resilient in the first place, so that we save the $9 and we only pay $1.
Right. Talking about, you alluded to Cyclone Idai, maybe this is one of the last questions that I'll ask you. Now, maybe if you can tell me some ways that individuals and communities can prepare and respond to disasters, especially this coming rainy season.
Yes.
Where we can have floods. We don't wish for it, but we can have floods. We don't wish for it again, but we could have cyclones.
Yes.
So how then can individuals and communities prepare for such?
All right, so first and foremost, you should always be updated with the information from the Meteorological Services Department. Always know what's happening, what's the weather patterns. And second of all, you should have emergency kits. Make sure that you have your first aid kit, you have the phone numbers of emergency phone numbers. Remember these numbers, 994, 995, and 112. So that in case of an emergency, you are ready for it. And also clean your drainages and your storm surges, and make sure that everything else is in place. Make sure that your children know evacuation areas, their drills. If, for my example, if my little sister knows that if there is an emergency, you go right this path. And if something happens, you call mama, you call daddy, you call gogo. These are some of the information that the people should have. And they should also make sure that they have social networks. The neighbors, they understand what's going on. The neighbors are ready to help you when there is a disaster that's happening. And also in your communities, make sure that you have someone that's representing you, that will say, oh, pamba but never no 9, but pabuda van 5 by disaster. So you should also have the emergency documents, birth certificates, and so forth, and IDs, so that when evacuation happens and when we are ready to help you, you know that you're settled and you have everything in place.
Right, and of course, one last one before I let you go.
Yes.
Maybe you can look at that camera. What would you like to say to all the viewers that are watching you right now?
Be prepared for disasters. Disasters can happen, but like I said, it's only a hazard it's only a hazard unless you're not prepared for it. So you should make sure that you are ready, you are safe, and also stay updated with the news and the information that's coming to your place, and also call the Disaster Management Association if you need help or if you need more information.
Right, if you need help or if you need more information, also stay updated with news. That's why we are here.